Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Blackwing deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that can make some amazing boards. I've included some extremely spicy tech cards in this build for you guys, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Simoon. Simoon is an amazing 3 of the deck that can instantly get you to your copy of Black Whirlwind. It is a super simple effect that you reveal this card in your hand, banish a Blackwing monster from your hand, and then you get to place Black Whirlwind on your side of the field. You can then normal summon this card out to your side of the field, and it doesn't even use your normal summon for the turn because it normal summons itself by its own effect, which is an amazing thing about this card, because you get an additional normal summon that turn because this card does normal summon itself by its own effect, so you get a double search off of Black Whirlwind, which is such a powerful thing about this card. You always want to see this card in your opening hand or a way to get to it, because this card is a basically 1.5 card combo to get an insane board. We then play 3 copies of Sudri. Sudri is a definite 3 of in the deck because this card is an absolutely amazing effect that when this card is normal summon, you can add a card that mentions Blackwing Dragon from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a great ability to search a bunch of cards out of our deck. This card is so powerful as a 3 of, and it also has the ability that you contribute 1 monster to special summon a Phantom Glimmer token to your side of the field. It's a Winged Beast Tuner, Dark, level 2, 700 attack, and 700 defense, then you take 700 points of damage, which is a really good effect for this card to have to instantly give you a Tuner token on your side of the field so you can climb into some really cool synchro plays. We then play 3 copies of Shamal. Shamal is a definite 3 of in the build because this card is a really good ability that you can send this card from your hand to your graveyard to be able to place on your side of the field a copy of Black Feather Whirlwind, which is a great ability to instantly get to Black Feather Whirlwind with this card. This card has also got a really cool ability that if a Blackwing Synchro monster or Blackwing Dragon is special summoned to your side of the field while this card's in your graveyard, you can banish this card and then target a Blackwing monster in your graveyard and add it back to your hand and then take 700 points of damage, which you're usually never going to take your 700 points of damage because your copy of Blackwing Dragon is going to eat that damage and get a Black Feather counter, which is super cool about these cards. We then play 3 copies of Vada. Vada is really good as a 3 of in the deck because this card can actually special summon itself to your side of the field while you control another Blackwing monster. It also instantly gets you into a Blackwing Dragon because while this card's on your side of the field during your main phase, you can actually send this card from your field to the graveyard, also with Blackwing monsters from your deck whose total level equal 8, including this card, to be able to summon out a Blackwing Dragon from your extract, which is a really amazing effect for this card to have to instantly get you to Blackwing Dragon. And the cards you usually want to send off this card's ability is your copy of Zaphros the Elite and your copy of Chinook the Snowblast, or another level 2 that's not a tuner monster to the graveyard, like your copy of Hamaten the Dust, which is another option for you guys to send to the graveyard, but you want to make sure that you always send your copy of Zaphros to the graveyard so you can get some really insane plays by bringing Zaphros back to the grave. We then play a single copy of Zaphros the Elite. Zaphros is a definite 1 of in the deck because by bouncing a card off your side of the field back to the hand and taking 400 points of damage, you can actually special summon this card back from the graveyard to your side of the field, which is a great ability for this card to have to instantly get it on your side of the field, but it is a once per duel effect, which is why we just play a single copy of this card in the build. We then play a single copy of Gale the Whirlwind. Gale the Whirlwind is a classic Blackwing monster that if you control a Blackwing monster other than a copy of Gale the Whirlwind, you can special summon this card from your hand, and once per turn, you can actually half the attack and defense of one face-up monster opponent controls, which is a great ability for this card to have to help you get over really powerful monsters your opponent has on the field. Plus, it's a tuner to help you go in for synchro plays. We then play a single copy of Hamon the Dust. Hamon the Dust is a great one-of in the deck because this card can special summon itself to your side of the field if you control another Blackwing monster, and it has a great ability that when this card is normal or special summon, you can actually level modulate this card by targeting one of their Blackwing monsters you control and increase this card's level by that monster's level. So for example, if you have a copy of Sudri on your side of the field and you have this card in your hand and you special summon this card to your side of the field, you can use this card's ability to target the copy of Sudri and increase its level by 4, putting this card to a level 6, which is going to help you go on for a lot of really cool synchro plays because this card opens up a lot of really cool plays by level modulating itself to get the exact level that you need. We then play a single copy of Sharonga. I absolutely love this card. This card is amazing for Blackwings, and it just helps out so much. Because if a monster with 2,000 or more attack points is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a really cool ability that you don't even need a Blackwing on the field. You can have any monster you want with 2,000 or more attack points to instantly get this card on the field. And if you control a Blackwing synchro monster, then quick effect, you can banish this card from the grave and then target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it, but you can only use that effect once per duel. But this card is a definite one-of in the deck and just helps out so much for synchro plays in this build. We then play a single copy of Chinook. Chinook is a hand trap, but this card is usually sent to the graveyard off your copy of Vada, but it's great in this particular build because you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, target a face-up monster that your opponent controls, and then send a Blackwing Synchro or Blackwing Dragon from your X check to the graveyard, and if you do until the end of this turn, the targeted monster loses 700 attack, also negate its effects, and it's a quick effect if you control a Dark Synchro monster, which is a great ability for this card to have. We then play a single copy of Orochi the Squall. This card can special summon itself to your side of the field if you control a Blackwing monster, and it's great to be able to put on your side of the field because it is a level 1 monster that's also a tuner to help you go in for some really good synchro plays. We then play 2 copies of Bysteel Magnemite. Bysteel Magnemite is a great extender in this deck, and it also is really good in this particular build because you can banish a light or dark monster in either player's graveyard, and if your opponent controls a monster, you can actually use this as a quick effect to special summon this card to your side of the field. And also during the end phase, after this card was special summoned, you can add a dragon monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is a great ability for this card to have, but I really like this card in the deck because it's a great extender in this build. We then play a single copy of Druid's Worm, which is what you're usually searching off the effect of Magnemite, but this card is also a great extender that can help you deal with your opponent's monsters because if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can target a special summon monster your opponent controls and send it to the graveyard, and it also shares the effect like your Magnemite that it can special summon itself to your side of the field by banishing a light or dark monster from the graveyard, and it's a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster. We then play a single copy of Assault Synchron. I really like this card as a one-of in the deck because it opens up a lot of bridges in this deck for your copy of Small World, which is just super cool to be able to use with your copy of Assault Synchron. I absolutely love that about this card, and it also doesn't make you play a brick in the deck, an extra brick in the deck to be able to use with Small World, because this card actually helps you go into synchro plays because during your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, then take 700 points of damage, but while it's face up on the field, monsters you cannot special summon from the X deck except for synchro monsters, which is not that big of a deal because it's pretty much all we're going for with this build. We then play a single copy of the Multi-Dimensional Kaiju. This card is a great one-up to be able to get over your opponent's monsters, but also a card you're always using with your copy of Small World because the only thing it has in common with any of your Blackwing monsters is that it's a dark monster, which is really cool about this card, and another reason why I played the copy of Assault Synchron in this build is because you can use your copy of Assault Synchron in this build because the only thing it usually has in common with the Blackwings you're going to be searching, like your copy of Simoon or Sudri, is that it is a dark monster. So you can use either one of these for Small World bridges, so it doesn't turn off your entire Small World bridge if you have both of these cards, or you have one of the 2 cards in your hand and one of them in the deck, which is really cool about these cards. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Triple Tactical Talents. This card is really good as a 2-of in the deck, because if your opponent does hand trap you, you can draw 2 cards to help you dig into the deck for more extenders, and also has the ability that you can take control of an opponent's monster, or look at your opponent's hand and choose a card from it and shuffle it into the deck, which is a great ability to use with this card to be able to just see what your opponent has in their hand, so you can know how far you can go with your plays, which is really cool about this card. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust. This card is an amazing 2-of in the deck, and I really recommend if you have this card, play it, because I have an extremely spicy tech card later on that this card can actually search and put on your side of the field, regardless if it's turn 1 or turn 2. This card is super good in the build. You don't have to play this card. I know that it's very, very expensive. You can change it out for other cards like additional Blackwings that you want to play, but this card is really good in this particular deck to be able to help you dig into the deck to get the exact card that you need so that you can set it to your side of the field, especially with the super spicy tech card that I'm playing later. But you can change it out for cards like Harpy's Feather Duster, you can change it out for another Assault Synchron, you can change it out for another Gale the Whirlwind, cards like that if you want to change it out for. Even Monster Reborn to extend your plays is a pretty good budget option to be able to play over this card. You can even play another copy of the Kaiju if you want to, which is an option for you guys if you want to over the copy of Thrust, but I do have a really spicy tech card that I think you guys are going to love with this card. We then play 3 copies of Small World. Small World is amazing in this deck because it helps you get to your copy of Simoon by revealing any Blackwing in your hand and then revealing a copy of, say, your Kaiju in the deck. You can then get to your copy of your Simoon into the deck, which is great in this particular build because you want to get to that copy of Simoon extremely quickly so you can start synchro climbing and instantly get to your copy of Black Whirlwind, which is super, super important. We then play 2 copies of Black Feather Whirlwind. This card is a soft once per turn Monster Reborn if you special summon a Dark Synchro monster from your extract, which is a great ability for this card to have, because if you do special summon that Dark Synchro monster from the extract, you get to target one of your Blackwing monsters or a Blackwing dragon that's banished during your graveyard with less attack points than the special summon monster and special summon it. It also gives you target protection as well, because once per turn, if a dark monster you control would be destroyed by battle dark artifact, you can remove a Black Feather counter from your field instead, which is a great ability to use because you're going to be generating Black Feather counters like crazy. We then play 3 copies of Black Whirlwind. Black Whirlwind is a definite 3-of in the deck. This card is a soft, or it's not even soft once per turn. You can use as many times as you can normal summon in a turn. You can keep searching with this card because if you normal summon a Blackwing monster to your side of the field, you can add a Blackwing monster with less attack points from your deck to your hand, which is crazy because in a turn, if you open Simoon, you're usually normal summoning 3 times in a turn because you're going to normal summon once off that Simoon, you're going to normal summon off the normal summon for your turn, and then you're going to normal summon off the effect of nothing. So you're going to get 3 searches off your copy of Black Whirlwind, which is absolutely insane. And this card is a definite 3 of the deck and basically the heart and soul of the deck. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. A really good budget option for this card is Allure of Darkness if you want to change it out for Allure of Darkness. But this card is great to help you dig into the deck to get the exact cards that you need so that you can go in for some really amazing plays. Plus, you don't need every single card in your extract, so you can banish 3 to dig into the deck for more combo pieces, especially to dig for your copies of Simoon or Small World or cards that you need for more powerful plays. But again, you can change out for Allure of Darkness if you want a more budget option. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 2 traps, and the first trap is going to be a copy of Twin Shadow. Twin Shadow is an amazing 1-of in this build because it is searchable off your copy of Sudri, and this card is a great ability that you actually get to shovel 2 of your Blackwing monsters, a non-tuner and a tuner, back into the deck, and then you get to special summon from your extra deck a copy of a Blackwing Synchro monster or Blackwing dragon from your extract whose total level equal those 2 levels, which is a great ability. And if you control 2 or more Blackwing monsters, you can activate this card from your hand, which is a great effect to instantly activate this card from your hand so that you can go in for some insane plays. We then play a really spicy tech card that we're actually going to lay face down, and we're going to play Guess That Card with this card. And we're going to reveal this card in 3, 2, 1, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys, because we're on the road to 100K subscribers, and definitely hit that bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad. And let's go ahead and check out what this really spicy tech card is, and comment down below what you think it is, because this card is crazy, and it's a single copy of EEV. You can get to this card very easily. This card, Eradicator, is so good in this deck because you can simply, like, if your opponent stops your plays and you can get a Vada on the field, you can go for Blackwing Dragon and then very easily activate EEV, especially if they hand trap you, because this is a card I usually put on my side of the field with Thrust, is you just activate your copy of Thrust, get to this card, and then set it to your side of the field. And by that point, your opponent is usually going to scoop if all their hand is spells or traps, especially if you know what they're playing. You can basically just use these two cards together. If your opponent, say, Ash Blossoms you on the copy of Black Whirlwind, you can basically just activate this card, set EEV to your side of the field, make any synchro monster that's 2,500 or more attack points, and then tribute it during your opponent's draw phase to be able to call spells or traps and basically end the game, which is super cool about this card and why I play this card as a 1-of in the main deck, which is just absolutely crazy. This card is super helpful in this particular deck. You can, if you're playing a going first strategy, you can play this card as a 3-of in the main deck if you want to change out the copies of Thrust, which is an option for you guys if you want to go this route and play a going first Blackwing Swarm build, which is what I'm doing with this particular deck. So you can play this card technically at 3 if you want a more budget option than Thrust. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start with 3 copies of Blackwing Assault Dragon. Blackwing Assault Dragon is absolutely crazy because every time your opponent activates a monster effect, they're going to take 700 points of damage after resolves, and this card is going to gain a Black Feather counter. You can actually tribute this card on your side of the field with 4 or more Black Feather counters and destroy all cards on the field, which you can protect your own cards anyways by removing a Black Feather counter from a different card on your side of the field while you have your copy of Black Feather Whirlwind, which is amazing. Plus, this card is super easy to summon to your side of the field because if you can summon 1, you can definitely summon 2 because it has the ability, it must either be synchro summoned or special summoned from your extract by banishing a Tuner Synchro and a Blackwing Dragon face up from your field or your graveyard. So once you synchro summon into one, you just banish the materials from the graveyard and you summon the second one, and there's very easy ways to summon out all 3 in a single turn, which is what I usually do with this build while also setting up EEV, which is crazy. You then play a single copy of Blackwing Full Armor Master. This card is crazy powerful. It's unaffected by every single card effect. Whenever your opponent activates a monster effect, you put a wedge counter on that monster while it's on this field. You can also remove a wedge counter, or you can target a monster with a wedge counter and take control of it. And then during the end phase of your turn, you can actually destroy all monsters on the field that have wedge counters on them, which is a great ability just to board wipe your opponent. Usually, depending on certain matchups, you can just throw this card in defense position and your opponent doesn't have an out to this, like a kaiju or something bigger than it. You basically just win the game because you're going to just basically not be able to affect this card, and it's crazy powerful. We then play 2 copies of Blackwinged Dragon. This card is really good in the deck. It's an extender. It helps you go in for your copy of Blackwing Assault Dragon, and it's a great card to be able to make in your deck. You have to play it at least at 1. I like 2 copies in the build. You can always Prosperity 1 away, which this card is just super powerful in this deck to help you go in for all sorts of really, really good plays. Plus, it's very easy to make. We then play a single copy of Silverwind the Ascendant. This card is what you make off your copy of Twin Shadow if you want to pop 2 cards on the field, which is very easy to do because you just special summon off of Twin Shadow and pop 2 cards. Especially if your opponent ends their turn, you can just flip this up and pop 2 cards by summoning Silverwind. And then you always have cards in the graveyard that you can make this card with. A 2 and a 6 is very easy to do. A 4 and a 4 is very easy to do. And it's very easy to make this card in this build. Usually it's going to be a 2 and a 6 though. We then play a single copy of Hawkjoe. Hawkjoe is actually a warrior and not a wing beast, so that's something you have to watch out a little bit for, but it's also a walking monster reborn because you can actually target a level 5 or higher wing beast in your graveyard and special summon it back to your side of the field, which is great to extend your plays. Plus it's a really good boss monster because it can move targets away from other cards, which is just really good. We then play a single copy of Raikiri so we can pop multiple cards on the field because depending on how many Blackwings we have on the field other than this card, we can destroy that many cards on our opponent's side of the field, which is great to help us clear the way for OTKs. Play a single copy of Borea Storm. Borea Storm is great in this deck as a 1-of because when this card is synchro summoned, you can send 1 other Blackwing monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes the same as that monster's level, which is a great effect for this card to have to level manipulate itself. And the great thing about this card is because what you usually do is send a copy of your Shurunga to the graveyard off this card's ability while you have Blackwing Dragon on your side of the field and synchro these 2 together into a copy copy of Blackwing Assault Dragon, and then banish them both from the graveyard later on in the turn to make a second copy of Blackwing Assault Dragon, which is just absolutely crazy. We then play a single copy of Nothung. Nothung does burn damage when it's summoned to your side of the field, does 800 points of burn damage, and reduces the attack and defense of a monster by 800 points, and which is really good. And it also gives you an additional normal summon, which is crazy powerful, especially with Black Whirlwind. We then play a single copy of Chaos Angel. This card can be crazy, but you're only ever going to get the dark effect on this card. It has the ability that monsters that you control cannot be destroyed by battle, and you don't even have to use a tuner to make this card. You can use any monsters that you have on your side of the field that are dark, which is really good to be able to make this card, and it's very, very powerful. Also, when it's summoned to your side of the field, it lets you banish a card, which is just really, really good. We then play a single copy of Dispatter. Dispatter is great in this deck, especially since we're playing the Bysteals. It lets you target a banished light or dark monster and special summon it to your side of the field, and when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can target one banished card and shuffle into the deck, and if you shuffled it into your deck, destroy that monster, or if you shuffled in your opponent's deck, negate that effect, which is really good about this card. We're then playing a single copy of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. This card is crazy powerful because during either player's turn, you can target any face-up card your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is great about this card. And the cool thing is you can even negate cards like Dark Ruler No More, because you don't have to respond with this card. You can respond with cards like Twin Shadow to be able to respond with Twin Shadow as Chain Link 2, and then this Chain Link 3 to negate your copy of Dark Ruler No More that your opponent might activate, because this deck really does lose to Dark Ruler No More, which is why I play cards like EEV in the main deck to be able to just deal with those cards, especially since we want to go first to make 3 Blackwing Assault Dragons. And finally, we play a single copy of Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. Draco Berserker is great in this deck. This card is nuts because it has a really good ability that when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can banish it, and if this card attacks and destroys an effect monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, then it has the ability to gain attack, it'll destroy a monster's original attack, also can make a second attack on a monster during this battle phase, which is super, super good. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Blackwings before, you should definitely give this deck a try. It has some really insane long combos, which is cool about this deck. If you guys like long combo decks, you're going to love this deck. It's super fun, especially with all the spicy tech cards I'm playing in this build. And that's going to do it for this one, guys. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.